Hey guys, Jonathan Doe here. I'm on my way to West Memphis to meet up with Andrew Dodge to work on our documentary, If Trees Could Talk, a conversation with Terry Hobbs. But I have a 5-hour layover in Denver, Colorado, and I decided to do an impromptu field trip episode, go to Aurora and check out some of the spots related to the James Holmes Aurora theater shooting. And I just took an Uber over here, and we're gonna check out his apartment, we're gonna check out the theater, and we're gonna check out the memorial that was made. So come with me. Right on a busy street, but I'm walking up on the Paris Apartments, which is where James Holmes was residing at the time of the attack. There's two buildings, and I'm not quite sure which one was his apartment. It was on the 3rd floor, and it was in the upper right-hand corner of one of these buildings. So it's either that apartment right there, and then there's another building over here. It's either, but I most likely think it's this one. And as anyone who's familiar with the case knows, he booby-trapped his apartment and he put explosives and all kinds of things in there. I don't know how well he actually knew how to do that. And when he was arrested, he actually notified the authorities that he had done that, and so they were able to disarm it, fortunately, and so no one got hurt in that situation. Here's the second building. But I'm pretty certain that what I pointed out before, I think that's the correct one. But yeah, I mean, this case really had a big impact on me, and being here is pretty emotional. And now I have friends who are survivors of what James did, and I would say out of all the cases or places I've been, this is kind of one of the hardest for me. It's just crazy to think what was being stewed up in those Paris apartments back there, and the level of devastation that he created.
What he did in that theater is not all he had planned. As we are on the air, bomb squads are continuing their dangerous work at his apartment. Police say it is a cat's cradle of tripwires and booby traps, explosives, and chemicals. So as David asked, who is this man determined to sow so much chaos? ABC's chief investigative correspondent Brian Ross is here. Brian.
Well, Diane, in an era of Facebook and Twitter, there's virtually nothing posted by or about James Holmes online. He is largely a man of mystery, but it's also very clear over the last few months, as his life was in crisis, he began to make plans for his attack. He moved to Colorado last fall and came across as a quiet and easygoing college student. But it was a different Jim Holmes who showed up at this San Diego pawn shop over the last few months, asking for tips about firing a gun.
I immediately recognized him when I saw his picture. My first words out of my mouth was, "Oh my God, he looks very familiar."
Last night, neighbors at his Aurora apartment building heard loud techno music blaring around midnight from his room, with the recorded sounds of gunshots.
Knowing that I almost opened the door to his apartment and that I was banging on that door, and, thank God that he wasn't there.
And then Holmes apparently attempted to make himself into the Joker character of the Batman series, according to a briefing given to the New York police commissioner.
He had his hair painted red. He said he was The Joker.
It was over the last few months that Holmes, who was Phi Beta Kappa in college, saw his academic and career dreams collapse as he began to withdraw from a PhD program in neuroscience at the University of Colorado.
These events usually come on after someone thinks about and plans for these attacks.
This was Holmes just 6 years ago, called Jimmy, a clean-cut, 5'11" high school senior in San Diego. He had been a member of the junior varsity soccer team.
He was just quiet. He was just quiet.
When Holmes' mother, a psychiatric nurse, was first contacted at her San Diego home this morning, she did not seem surprised that something had happened. "You've got the right person," she told ABC News. "I've got to call the police." Today, his father, Robert, left the family home in San Diego under police protection to fly to Denver. In Colorado, police continue to search Holmes' apartment, which was described as elaborately booby-trapped with chemicals and incendiary devices.
So now I just booked for a lift to come pick me up, and we're gonna head off to the theater now and check that out. Well, up to our second destination. Just got dropped off by the Uber, and in front of me is Century 16 Theater. Honestly, it does not feel, I don't know how much I feel about energy, but maybe it's just knowing that something so terrible happened here, you know? I mean, the Uber driver was actually telling me, he was dropping me off, he's like, do you know this is the theater where that shooting happened? And I was like, yeah. He's like, I don't go to the movies there, so, I don't know, but that XD sign, so Cinemark XD, my understanding is he shot up Theater 9, and my understanding is they remodeled it, and that's what the XD is now. So I'm gonna see if I can go around the back. That's where James Holmes parked. I wouldn't be surprised if there's like security back there or anything, considering yeah.
Don, this is what law enforcement sources suggest now happened during this midnight movie. They believe the suspect came into the theater with a ticket, went out through an exit door to the right of the screen toward his car, which was parked just outside of that exit, and there they think that he geared up for the attack, and at approximately 12:37 or 12:38, he came back in. Now, what witnesses say they saw was at some point a canister was tossed in here, spraying gas into the room, some sort of tear gas or pepper spray. They say he fired into the ceiling first, and then this man who was wearing all black with a bulletproof vest and a gas mask on started shooting into the crowd. Police will later say that he was using an AR-15 assault rifle, a Remington shotgun, and a .40 caliber Glock handgun. A lot of firepower, no matter how you look at it. 12:39. By this time, police say hundreds of calls are flooding into police headquarters to 911, and officers are racing to the theater. They find victims staggering through the lobby. They surround the place, call for more help. 12:42. Some witnesses say the gunman is still shooting inside. Officers urgently call for gas masks so they can get into Theater 9 because it's choking in there. At 12:46, at some point here, the witnesses say the shooter simply stops shooting and walks out the way he came in toward his car, and that's where the police grab him, right outside. They say he still has 2 weapons on him. He's dropped one in the theater. They find another one inside his car. They also say, in addition to the vest and gas mask, he's wearing a ballistic throat protector and a groin protector, and he's wearing black tactical gloves. Simultaneously, officers flood into Theater 9, where they find a scene of unimaginable carnage. People shot in the head and the arm and the legs and the body, some of them children, some so hurt they couldn't even possibly run, some who can't even be moved. By 12:46, they have the suspect. They've gone to look at his apartment. They're seeing what they can do next. and they're transporting people to the hospital in their cars simply because there aren't enough ambulances to handle them all. Don?
So I don't know if you see that cop car that's leaving right now. He was back here, and I asked him permission if I could shoot back here. He said yeah. So we are literally right where James Holmes parked his car. So he parked right by this. This is his spot right here. And then he parked right by this dumpster. And there's the door to where he entered from. If you look online, there's some really awful like photographs of aerial shots of bloody feet running down, footprints running down this street or the sidewalk right here, and yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to like articulate how I feel right now. It's I mean, for you guys who've been following this channel, I've been to a lot of pretty awful places, but this definitely has hit me the hardest, I think. The only other place where I feel like I really felt uncomfortable was the street of Gacy's property. So yeah, this is heavy. Yeah, if you watch the interviews, there's interviews with a psychologist with James Holmes, and he goes into depth about this whole process of sitting in this car, coming back and putting on his stuff and gonna shoot up the theater. And I guess an employee went and threw some trash away in that dumpster right there, and the psychologist asked James, what would you do if you got caught? And he said, I would have shot that person too. So that person got really lucky, but being back here feels really fucking gross. And honestly, I kind of want to move on and go to the memorial and hopefully end this video in a more positive note. But yeah, I mean, out of all the true crime cases that I follow, this one really impacts me a lot. And so yeah, being here is really heavy. So let's move on. So that cop actually told me that the memorial is in Town Hall, which is over there. So instead of getting an Uber, I'm just gonna walk, but it seems hard to find. All right.
Convicted murderer, theater shooter James Holmes sentenced to more than 3,300 years in prison today. That's on top of the 12 life sentences he's already serving. The judge sentencing Holmes to 48 years in prison for each count of attempted first-degree murder, 32 years for each count of second-degree attempted murder, and another 6 years for the booby traps he left in an apartment. 3,318 years in all. 7 News reporter Marshall Zellinger in court for today's sentencing. And Marshall, Holmes may not spend that time in a Colorado prison.
No, we're finding out that he could be sent to a different state. The judge even saying in his comments in the courtroom that he suspects the shooter would be sent out of Colorado for his sentence. But that all depends on the intake process, where the Department of Corrections feels he would fit best, and if another state would even take him.
All right, Sheriff, get the defendant out of my courtroom, please. Thank you.
The judge putting an unexpected exclamation point at the end of the Aurora theater shooting trial. It's the last we'll see of the shooter. His 12 lifetime plus 3,318-year prison sentence may be served outside of Colorado.
Do I think that he should spend the rest of his natural life under Colorado skies? I guess part of me does think that he should do that, as long as it's in captivity and as long as it's miserable.
Victims' families who have endured graphic details, long days in court, and 1,132 days now know this killer is no longer waiting for prison. He'll be there soon. That fact was addressed by the mother of Rebecca Wingo, the grandmother of Michaela Medic, and the parents of Jessica Gawi.
We're very happy with the sentence. We think it's our best chance to see the defendant die in our lifetime.
And let's hope he gets it in jail.
We do know one thing. He's going to die in prison. And for us, that's good enough.
The sooner, the better.
So we're walking up onto the memorial. This thing was pretty tucked away. It was hard to find, but I finally found it. I was actually worried that it might have been taken down because it's been 10 years since the case happened, but I'm really glad to see that it's still here. And it's in this beautiful garden area over here. Behind this tree over here is the big statue. For those unfamiliar with the case, 12 people lost their lives and 70 other people were injured. And so what you see here is in the center you've got 12 birds that have translucent wings, and that symbolizes the individuals that lost their lives. And then down here we have the 70 other birds, which are flying in from all over. You can see them flying all the way back there to support these birds. I think it's really beautiful. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty emotional being here. But it's really nice to see that in tragedies like this, that these people aren't forgotten, you know? And I think as much as people think that like the shit that I do, the collecting that I do and all that stuff is morbid curiosity, and there definitely is morbid curiosity, there's also, to me, I think people like to try to forget the darker parts of humanity, the darker things that exist, and I don't want to forget. I think that the world is both beautiful and cruel, and I think it's important to look at them both and to remember that stuff like this happens, you know, and that yeah, so definitely worth it to come out here and so I don't know. This is interesting too, and I'll see you next time.